I'm Mark James, and we are pleased to have with us, we can't call her brand spanking new because the school year is about 4 weeks old or so, but she's new to us as a principal. Lizz Walters joins us here on the set. Going to give you an opportunity to get to know the new lead administrator here at Beech Grove High School. First of all, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
Well, so what's the last 4 weeks been like? Because you've only been in the building about 5 weeks, am I right?
Mm-hmm. Yes. It's been a bit of a whirlwind. Those first 2 weeks, I would certainly say I don't remember much of it. There was quite a bit coming at me, and my first goal was just to kind of get to know people, associate faces with names. And once that happened, I felt like I really was able to get to know people a little bit better, head into some classrooms, start to meet some students. So a lot of that was face-to-face time, which I really appreciated. Everyone was very welcoming. Now, these past 2 weeks, I definitely feel as though I'm able to have some, productive conversations about plans for moving forward and knowing all the things that we've done in the past that have worked really well and continuing those. So it's been a whirlwind.
Is there? I wouldn't call it intimidation, but talk about the mindset. You replaced Steve Cox, who retired. Steve has a long history here at Beech Grove, and so sometimes replacing a longtime administrator like that can be a little daunting. Those thoughts enter your mind at all?
Absolutely, and I think they were gone very quickly as soon as I met Steve. With his support and sharing his knowledge and expertise with everything that's happened, and still kind of meeting him every once in a while around here. Those fears and that intimidation, I think that factor went away very quickly thanks to him, because he was very receptive and very helpful and very thankful. So that worked well, I think.
I think the school as a whole is blessed with an outstanding administrative team, and I'm sure that you'll agree that I'm working on the assumption Randy Clevenger, Carmen Hurley, our two assistant principals. They had to be very, very instrumental in helping with this transition.
Absolutely. When you think about, managing a school and also leading a school, there are day-to-day operational things that just simply need to get done. And then it's important to know what past practices were, how to move forward, and it's not really a light switch. You're not turning things on and off. Moving forward takes time and it takes planning. So the managerial things and the expertise that they bring into the leadership goals that we have for the year is immeasurable. Their ability to know the kids already and know the staff already and know, hired a few days, about 10 days before school started. Their ability to get us going at the beginning of the year was immeasurable.
And the fact that there hasn't been a lot of turnover among the office staff as well as the administration. Matt English, our athletic director, has been in place for a while. So a lot of people in a lot of places that are very, very familiar, and as a whole, that had to be a big help too.
Oh, absolutely. When you ask questions, and there are quite a few of them in the few weeks when you come into a new building in a new position, you very quickly know who to go to for those answers. And it's funny, in this building, there's really not a certain person. Everyone has a general knowledge and is very, very immersed in the culture and the climate of the building. Everybody cares very much about the success of the building. So, as soon as you have a question, pass through your lips, you have a number of people who are able to offer that expertise and then help support you in trying to navigate what needs to be done. So it's really quite extraordinary how the staff coexists with each other and the culture and climate that this building creates. It's welcoming, it's friendly, and it is like a family.
You come to us after 12 years at Southport. Let's talk a little bit about your experiences there.
Sure. I started right after college as an English teacher. I worked on my master's in administration and then moved on to the Dean of Girls position there at the building. And then 1 year after that, the assistant principal position in the main office opened up. So I applied for that and then spent 8 years in that position. So I've only ever known Southport High School, and it was bittersweet, I think, to leave in that sense, because it too felt like home quite a bit. And there'll always be a place in my heart for the Cardinals. But as I hear quite often here, it is a great day to be a Hornet.
Yeah, no question about that. Was administration something that you had your eye on, designs on from the time that you became a teacher?
I think, yes, probably in the back of my mind. I loved teaching. I love literature. As an English teacher, I taught etymology, working with sort of Latin classes and loving all of the wordplay and all of that. But I very quickly began to realize that I liked talking about teaching with other teachers, with my colleagues. I liked attending professional development sessions that were meaningful for me and helped me implement new strategies in the classroom. And so when I started my master's, I actually started taking 2 classes in technology because I thought this would be a really good way to integrate technology into my classroom. But then a cohort opened up through IU, and it was administrative, and so I started that thinking this might be a good idea, and very quickly fell in love with it. I realized that was sort of my true calling, to be able to talk with educators about what it means to impact the lives of students in the classroom, and be able to support people in being successful in the classroom with kids. That's a calling, I think. It's not easy work. Sometimes it's not always fun work because change is hard for people, including myself. But having those conversations and navigating those challenges is really something that I wake up every morning wanting to do.
I know that you've talked about your interest in technology.
Mm-hmm.
You think there have been a period in recent memory in the years that you were an administrator at Southport over the last 10 years or so? It's amazing how technology has changed the way we're educating children.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I think it started as sort of a motivational tool, that it's just kind of more fun sometimes to do things with technology, especially from a student perspective. But now really it's morphed into not only still being fun to put in the hands of kids, but it's a necessity. In order for students to function in life after high school, we need to be able to build the ability to use technology to its fullest capacity and also to use it appropriately. So that starts at a really early age. I advocate, students at a very early age knowing how to use it appropriately for school use. But it's also morphed into the ability to analyze data for us. Whereas before we were able to gather, student mastery evidence and kind of take the time to look at it and use it to guide our instruction and inform our practices. That took time. It took a lot of time. Now technology can give us very quick student mastery data, and we can use that very quickly to analyze and to move forward with instructional practices based on individual students' needs. So it's a very powerful tool for educators.
Do we fall victim to seeing the shiniest new piece of technology out there and want to rush to make it part of our curriculum, or do you think that we're pretty good at taking a deep breath and a wait-and-see approach and easing into it? There is the danger of easing into it and it being outdated by the time you decide to tackle it. I guess my question is, to simplify it, are things moving too fast, technically?
I think it's a very good question, and even the short time that I've been here, it's very clear that Beech Grove City Schools, the entire district, has looked to strategically make decisions so that we're not really chasing the rabbit down the hole very quick, as quickly as we could, but we're also making sure that once we have something, that we implement it with fidelity and we make good choices, both fiscally with our money, and also make good choices for the classroom, because it becomes overbearing when we're always adding things to the classroom for teachers and students to use. So, the people in place at the high school especially, because I know them, a little bit better than people in other schools, but we're making hopefully very strategic decisions for not moving too quickly, but also not moving too slowly, so that we can prepare students for life after high school without being out of date by the time they graduate.
Sure.
And I know in conversations at the district level that is certainly a focus, to make sure that we're making those strategic decisions.
Well, the addition of the Chromebooks, if nothing else, the backpacks are lighter and there's a little more room in the locker because you don't have any textbooks anymore.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, think about the textbook and the use of textbooks in the classroom. When we talk about resources for teachers and the exposure of students' knowledge base, textbooks, I think, are becoming a thing of the past in their current form. When we think of Google and the things that are available out on the internet, the key is that, educators, parents, teachers, students, we have to make strategic decisions to use that technology appropriately, because the textbook would certainly give us the access to the information we needed. The information is out there on the internet. It's just there is so much other information out there that we have to be very purposeful in teaching students how to access it appropriately. And that's a shift. That will take some time for us to navigate.
I want to take a stab at something from a political standpoint, if we can. I'm curious as to what your thoughts are as a former teacher, and not a former teacher, you're still a teacher. Now you're an administrator. My question would be, I think education is in the news more over the last 5 to 10 years than it has ever been for a variety of reasons. Do you think that at the very top level of government, federal and state, are the right people making the decisions, and B, are they allowing administrators at Beech Grove and the teachers to have a voice in how education is changing?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think this probably wouldn't fall as a political statement, but it is just sort of a personal belief. I think in education, we have to decide very specifically what our expectation of a high school graduate is. At that level, we need to decide what skills does this student need to have, and we hear things thrown out about critical thinking and problem solving and literacy. We need to decide what experiences the student needs to have when they graduate. Are we looking for experiences outside of the classroom, internship-based programs? Are we hoping that schools can implement school-to-career programs? I think ultimately we need to decide what that student looks like. So that those students can then go to life after high school and be successful and be productive members of society. Once that's decided, I think schools are well equipped, very well equipped. We have very good professional educators in this building, and I think in the nation. They're well equipped to prepare students for life after high school. We just need to agree on what that is. I think the common misconception is that educators are told what that student looks like. And in reality, we need to be a huge part of the conversation, because we are trained professionals, and our job is to care about and prepare students. So once we're able to be part of that conversation on any level, and make sure that we have a good idea of what that student should look like, collectively, there's no question that we can achieve those goals. And once we figure out what that is, I think a really important question is how we measure that. Because right now we know what measurements are out there. At the high school, we're looking at graduation rate, which is simply a student being able to graduate. We're looking at performance on math and English skills, and we're looking at college and career readiness, which we've defined right now to be dual credit, to be AP, to have a certification. So measuring that is the next question. We're not, I think, in essence, right now measuring critical thinking and problem-solving skills at sort of a state or national level. We're looking right now at sort of the content skills of what a student can do. So once we decide that, then we have to figure out how to measure it. And politically, I don't know that I would ever lead that conversation, but I would certainly enjoy being a part of it.
I think the thing that this community can be most pleased about is this school corporation, especially at the high school. The approach to education is far from a cookie-cutter approach to education.
Absolutely.
It doesn't matter if you want to focus on culinary arts, if you want to get into heating and air conditioning, if you want to get into retail, if you want to go to college to be a doctor, a lawyer, broadcaster, whatever the case may be. I think this school corporation has done a very, very good job of putting the programs in place that I think appeals to a wide variety of students, and there's very little any reason why someone can't graduate from here with a high school diploma and the training they need moving forward.
Absolutely. That's what's so attractive about working, in Beech Grove City Schools and at the high school, because of the amount of opportunities our students have to be successful. With what we were just talking about, how we're measured in success is one thing, but oftentimes there's more to a student's ability to show success than just those 4 areas. So students being able to feel motivated and feel engaged in what they're doing, I would venture to say we have something out there for everyone, and that's comforting, because our kids are happy and motivated, and in so doing, they can succeed.
Have you found that education is education, that the divide, despite the size, between how to go about things and the process itself, did it differ a lot from Southport to Beech Grove?
No, I think even, at the classroom level, Southport and Beech Grove were very similar. We were both TAP schools with our training and professional development and evaluation system. Southport also implemented Chromebooks last year, so we were looking at that, navigating that digital divide with students. There wasn't a huge transition in that sense. And I think students are students to some extent.
Sure.
When you move from school to school, students enjoy being motivated. They enjoy being engaged. They enjoy knowing the purpose for what they're doing. But it is definitely climate and culture that differ from building to building. And that wouldn't be just Southport and Beech Grove, but from any building. The family feeling that is in both buildings is very, very comforting. And Beech Grove is really, it's quite indescribable when you walk down the halls, and you can just sort of feel in the walls that people care about being here, that people want to succeed when they're here.
Number of staff members are graduates. Number of these students, parents and grandparents went here. That's I think it's sometimes I feel as though that this community as a whole is a well-kept secret because it is in Indianapolis. But, having come from a small town myself, it has retained many small-town qualities in that regard. So before we let you go, as a building administrator, you have a responsibility to our students, but you also have a responsibility to our staff, our teachers, faculty. Is that the toughest part, to find that balance?
Yes, yes, it is tough from day to day because, like I said, with that sort of managerial responsibilities with students and staff, and then knowing that there are leadership long-term goals with both students and staff. But I think being very strategic in making yourself available to every stakeholder group. My direct responsibility is to students and staff here, but there is also a responsibility to our community and to our parents to ensure that our students are safe when they're here, to ensure that we're committed to excellence and making sure that we're providing opportunities for kids to succeed. So being accessible and talking with people about what we're doing to make sure that happens, and then making sure that they have their needs met as well. I think it's tough, but it's necessary because that's kind of why we're here.
I think we're going to give ourselves a lot of credit because we were able to get you to sit down for 15 to 20 minutes to do this interview, because this is a rarity for you. You're sitting still. It's been that much of a whirlwind, hasn't it?
Yes. Well, and as I was jogging from one meeting to this interview, I appreciate the time to catch my breath. But yes, being able to sit down and share the positives and share the good news is important. So it's definitely something I'll be happy to do anytime.
Well, we can say that from our experiences so far, the transition has been absolutely smooth, and we're thrilled to death. You're a Hornet now. I know you've got that Southport blood pumping through your veins a little bit, but you're a Hornet now. We're happy to have you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
We'll have you back again. I'm Mark Janes. Thanks for joining us. So long for now.